Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA. This is the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Janna.
And I am Mohammed Saleh. So it's D-Day for the Indian state of Bihar as counting for the votes gets underway at 8 a.m. local time. The big question, of course, is this. Will the veteran leader Nitish Kumar, who's been in charge of the state for the last 20 years, is he again going to be given another opportunity by the people of Bihar? It's going to be a fascinating election, Shivan, because you know, in elections in India, there are states and there are states. Bihar is one of those preeminent states where it is really, really difficult to predict what is there in the heart of every youth from Bihar. And we'll find out as to what happens there.
And with the winter session of Parliament coming up soon enough, this is going to be a very pivotal result. We are going to be tracking those developments through the day. Also on World DNA, as the probe widens into the Delhi blast, India's Union Home Minister Amit Shah chaired a high-level meeting. And this comes as investigators find crucial materials which can produce ricin, a deadly poison, which was found at Dr. Ahmed Sayyed's residence in Hyderabad. Let's start with the headlines first. This is World DNA.
The Gujarat's anti-terrorism squad conducts raids in Hyderabad, seizing materials linked to the production of ricin. The operation targeted a certain Dr. Ahmed Muhyiddin Sayyed's residence, one of the three people who's been arrested by the ATS.
All eyes on Bihar as counting for the assembly election results begins today. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar seeks a record fifth term, while opposition eyes an upset. Exit polls, however, show the NDA ahead.
The American Defense Secretary announces major military initiative in the Caribbean and South America, calling it Operation Southern Spear. Says the campaign is aimed at confronting narco-terrorists in the Western Hemisphere.
Kiev mayor says Ukrainian capital comes under a massive Russian attack with explosions reported in the city. Air defense systems activated with tracer fire and anti-missile deployments. 2 wounded in eastern Dnipropetrovsk region.
A Russian Su-30 fighter jet crashes during a training flight in Karelia region, killing both crew members. The plane, in fact, went down in the forest with no ground casualties being reported. The authorities launched an investigation into the cause.
Israel receives the body of one of the last 4 hostages held in Gaza from the Red Cross as part of a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Forensic experts confirm that the body is that of Israeli hostage Meni Godard.
The BBC has said that its chairman has sent a letter to the American President Donald Trump apologizing for a misleading edit of one of his speeches, but has rejected that it constitutes grounds for a defamation lawsuit.
Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin launches its new Glenn rocket on its debut flight for paying customers, carrying 2 satellites on their way to Mars in the company's first NASA-scale science mission.
The Wall Street closes sharply lower, hit by the steep losses in Nvidia, Tesla and other AI names. Investor nerves have risen as inflation concerns and also some mixed Fed signals have dampened the hope for more rate cuts. The Standard & Poor's 500 index has fallen by nearly 1.7%, while Nasdaq is down 2.3% and the Dow has slid by nearly 800 points.
France becomes the second European nation to book their place at the 2026 World Cup finals. The 2018 winners booked the spot with a 4-0 win over Ukraine.
All right, so this, of course, is the big moment. The counting of the votes is about to get underway in about another 23 minutes, Shivan. It is the election in Bihar, something that everyone had been looking out for. Bihar has put forth an unprecedented voter turnout. But this is the moment of truth. Will Nitish Kumar come back again, the veteran politician, or is there going to be space for Tejasvi Yadav, who's, of course, put out a very stout fight? We'll, of course, find out as to which way the people in Bihar have voted. So Bihar is all set to get a new chief minister as the voters determine if the veteran leader Nitish Kumar of the Janata Dal United will clinch an unprecedented fifth term as the chief minister, or will he pave the way for a new government?
Now, the two-phase assembly elections for the 243-seat House conducted on the 6th and the 11th of November, it witnessed an impressive voter turnout and participation of 67.13%. And exit polls largely favor a dominant victory for the National Democratic Alliance. Saleh, regardless of which exit poll you've studied so far, they're all hinting in one direction and by a landslide. But as we've seen, exit polls have not always gone right. They've gone wrong several times. We've seen recently as well. So you never really know what really happens, and we will get to know shortly from now. And that includes the NDA, which includes JDU, while Rashtriya Janata Dal's Tejasvi Yadav, the face of the opposition India bloc, is confidently predicting a landslide for their Mahagathbandhan.
You know, it remains to be seen as to which way this goes. But Shivan, as you mentioned, the exit polls, those figures, they are based on what the voters have said once they have voted. It's easier to predict the vote share on the basis of exit polls, but turning that vote share into seats, that is where the magic happens. And now we'll find out as to, how many people have voted and which way things are going to go. So it is a massive electorate of 7.45 crore that cast its ballots to shape the destiny of 2,616 contenders, featuring high-profile names like the Deputy Chief Minister Samrat Chaudhary and Vijay Kumar Sinha, the JJD's Tej Pratap and the Congress's State Chief Rajesh Kumar. The vote tally kicks off at 8 a.m. local time across 46 counting stations in 36 districts, with early indications expected by 9 a.m.
And the postal ballot counting is going to start at 8 a.m. EVM counting starts at 8:30 a.m. So it's minutes from now. The NDA coalition fielded candidates from 5 parties, with JDU and BJP each contesting for 101 seats each. Which one of them wins more will really also be determining a lot more within the party dynamics. Whereas the India Alliance, the bloc, it unites the RJD, the Congress, CPI, ML, Liberation, other left outfits, and the VIP here as well. A record fifth term for Nitish Kumar. He's already been in power for 20 long years. The record has already been set, and now a fifth record. Or will this go against the incumbent? And the rise in voter turnout. A lot of people, both sides are claiming that in their favor, that the rise in voter turnout will go in our favor. But there are questions that perhaps the rise in voter turnout compared to 2020 may just be going against the incumbent.
Shivan, it's also interesting to see as to why the voter turnout has gone up so substantially. It is a record voter turnout. There are a number of reasons that are now being put forth. Now, historically, the logic has always been there is a voter turnout that is high when the voter wants to come out and say something to the government that he's got. Historically, this is how it goes, that if there is a higher voter turnout, then it goes against the incumbent. But if you look at the predictions that are being put forth by the pollsters as part of the exit polls, they're all indicating that Nitish Kumar, surprisingly, despite the fact that he's been the head of the state of Bihar as the chief minister for 20 years, is not facing anti-incumbency.
Slipping into a breaking news right now, which is coming in the investigation which expands in the Delhi blast case. House of Dr. Umar Nabi, the man who was driving the Hyundai i20 car when it exploded in front of the Red Fort in Delhi, has been razed to the ground in the overnight operation in Pulwama, South Kashmir. Saleh, our correspondent Idris our colleague Idris was there on ground. He was right outside this house and he was reporting all through the previous days. Idris, who's joining us over the phone line. Idris, give us more. This is the location where you had been reporting. What do you see there? You were in Pulwama just yesterday.
Well, yes, Shivan, it seems like Jammu and Kashmir police decided overnight to basically bulldoze the house that belonged to Dr. Umar and his family. We already saw how his family members were taken by Jammu and Kashmir police for investigation. His parents were let off after the DNA sample was taken, but his brothers still remain in detention and they're still being questioned and investigated. We have seen this happening in the previous time also when the Pahalgam terror attack happened. At that time also we saw how the houses of the terrorists whose name had propped up could be responsible or could have provided help to the terrorists who carried out the Pahalgam terror attack. Two of the names I could recall, Adil Thokar and Amir Nazir and Asad Sheikh, they were all in South Kashmir. And their houses were bulldozed by security forces as well. So now it seems that the action has been taken only after there was the correlation that Dr. Umar was the person who was driving the I-20 car and was responsible for the attack that took place outside Red Fort.
Right. Now, Idris, try help us make sense of this as to what is the basis for which the police has gone out and demolished the house of Dr. Umar Nabi? Now, of course, his name has popped out. He's said to be the one who was behind the wheel of the I-20 car that was involved in the blast near the iconic Red Fort. But would the house of this individual not be a place where the police can, of course, go and try find more clues that would aid in the investigation? Why is it that a place that could have given more evidence as to what was, of course, being planned has now been demolished in this manner so completely? What is the premise for this?
Well, Saleh, to be honest, the investigation on Dr. Umar started around 2 weeks ago. It was not only after the Red Fort blast, but before that, when the Faridabad terror module was busted. It was much before that when the first doctor was arrested in that case. Dr. Adil Rathur, who was the first doctor who was arrested by Jammu and Kashmir police, was the doctor who gave information about two more doctors. One was Dr. Muzammil, who was arrested after a few days after Dr. Adil, and they'd also given the name of Dr. Umar. But Dr. Umar had gone absconding when he had seen that both of his accomplices have been caught up by security forces. And since then, Jammu and Kashmir police has been investigating in this case. After the Red Fort blast, when the picture and the CCTV grab came up, they correlated the picture with him, and after that investigation was intensified.
Right.
The family members were taken for questioning, but all the material, the phones, the digital the digital appliances at home were already taken by security forces.
Yes.
And all of the house was searched not once but multiple times before taking an action like this, where they bulldozed the whole house. So investigations must have been completed for security forces, and then only after that they would take an action like this.
All right, Idris, thanks so much for getting us those details. Just to repeat to our viewers, the house of Dr. Umar, the man who was driving the Hyundai i20 car when it exploded in Delhi, his house has been razed to the ground in an overnight operation in Pulwama, South Kashmir.
So the probe widens in the Delhi Red Fort blast case. A high-level meeting was held at the Union Home Minister Amit Shah's residence, where he met with the top officials, including the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and the Intelligence Bureau Chief Tapan Kumar Dekar, to assess the situation.
And the high-level meetings have been continuing since a number of days. The cabinet resolution had determined this as an incident of terror, and this was days ago. And now, of course, another high-level meeting which has taken place. The meeting comes as two hybrid terrorists, Shabir Ahmad Najar and Shabir Ahmad Mir, were arrested in Jammu and Kashmir's Sopore with arms and ammunition, including a pistol, magazine, 20 live rounds and 2 hand grenades. Now, the recoveries indicate that the duo's involvement in ongoing terror-related activities in the region, and agencies working to uncover the extent of the terror network and its connections are working overtime for this.
Indeed, and also in a separate development, the border security forces now foiled Pakistan's nefarious cross-border smuggling attempts, neutralizing 3 Pakistani drones and also seizing a packet of what is said to be about 558 grams of heroin along the Punjab border. This development has come as the government is cracking down on terror networks, which continues following the massive blast that has happened in Delhi.
And tracking other stories coming from around the world, Kiev came under a massive overnight attack as explosions echoed across the Ukrainian capital.
The fires broke out in multiple districts and at least about 2 people were reported to be wounded, where Kiev's mayor has now said that air defense forces are fully engaged as Russia launched a large-scale strike on the capital.
AFP journalists on the ground reported seeing tracer rounds aimed at drones and several anti-missile batteries firing into the sky. Russian Defense Ministry announced that its forces have captured the settlement in Danilivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. News agencies reported that a Russian Su-30 fighter jet crashed in a forested area of Karelia during a training session, killing both crew members.
And also the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the troops near the Zaporizhia front line, where Russia has recently made its advances in its almost 4-year-long invasion. Ukraine is also expanding its offensive capabilities. It has deployed the newly developed cruise missiles, amongst other weapons, to strike targets in Russia and in the Russian-occupied areas this week.
Now, this includes Crimea, where Ukrainian forces targeted an oil terminal, a helicopter base, a drone storage site, and an air defense radar near Yevpatoria. One of these weapons is the FP5, which is commonly called the Flamingo missile, after a manufacturing error left them bright pink. It can reportedly reach targets up to 3,000 kilometers away and deliver a 1,150 kilogram warhead.
And diplomatic tensions are also on the rise as talks emerge of a potential US-Russia summit. The Russian media has now reported that Moscow has reviewed the comments made by the American Secretary of State Marco Rubio, indicating that both nations understand the need to prepare for a productive summit.
Now, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Russia would respond in kind if the United States resumes nuclear weapons testing. Kremlin said that Ukraine will have to negotiate with Russia sooner or later and warned that Kiev's bargaining position weakens by the day. Now, on Thursday, NATO forces conducted large-scale exercises along the alliance's eastern flank. Troops from France, Poland, Spain, Portugal and North Macedonia joined Romanian forces in the Dacian Fall 2025 drills.
Ukraine has also alleged that South Africans have been misled and fooled into fighting in the war. This after 17 South Africans had appealed for assistance, saying that they were sent to the front lines in Ukraine.
They have been recruited in violation of South African law, which I would imagine would be something that South African government would like to talk about with the Russian government. And by the way, if it's true that some of South African politicians were involved, then it makes the whole situation even more precarious.
And the US is pushing the UN Security Council to adopt President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan.
And the United States has called on the United Nations Security Council to unite and to back its draft resolution, warning that Palestinians could otherwise suffer some pretty grave consequences.
The plan proposes establishing a board of peace to govern Gaza temporarily, with Trump potentially chairing it until the Palestinian Authority takes control after reforms. Israel has received the body of one of the last 4 hostages held in Gaza, identified as Meni Goddard, 73 years of age, who was abducted during the October 7, 2023 attack. They confirmed that they have identified the remains of Goddard.
The head of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, Filipe Lazzarini, has said that they are now doing everything that they can to provide humanitarian aid to those who are in need in the Gaza Strip. He also added that they are no longer receiving American funding and has asked other donor nations for more money, warning that their operations could suffer without a cash infusion.
Meanwhile, Gazans were seen waiting to recover remains of loved ones still buried under the rubble. They appealed to the international organizations to help them retrieve the body, and also questioned why the bodies of Palestinians are not treated with the same care as Israeli bodies.
The Palestinian Authority has reported that the Israeli soldiers killed 2 15-year-old Palestinians in occupied West Bank, while Israel is calling these 15-year-olds to be terrorists who were attempting to carry out an attack. The incident has now sparked international concern, with the United Nations Secretary General condemning the violence and calling for an immediate halt to such acts.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres also condemned Israeli settlers' attack on a mosque in the central West Bank, saying that such attacks on places of worship are completely unacceptable.
Regarding the West Bank, I can tell you that we are deeply disturbed by the attacks by Israeli settlers who set fire overnight to a mosque in a West Bank village. Such attacks on places of worship are completely unacceptable. We have and will continue to condemn attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinians and their property in the West Bank.
Once a British schoolgirl who fled to join ISIS, Shamima Begum's story continues to divide opinion.
A new independent report is now urging the UK to repatriate her and others detained in Syrian camps. This as the region itself, under al-Shara's leadership, enters a new phase of political reckoning.
The report from the Independent Commission on the UK Counter-Terrorism Policy has described the conditions in the Syrian camps as inhuman, dangerous and degrading. Nearly 70 people linked to Britain, including women and children, remain detained in these facilities.
Now, the review said that the camps risk being seen as Britain's Guantanamo. The Commission warns that the UK's reluctance to bring them home could prove counterproductive, leaving Britain an outlier among Western nations that have begun repatriations. It argues that a controlled, security-led return would uphold human rights and reduce the risk of radicalization in these lawless zones.
Now, Shamima Begum's case sits at the heart of that argument. She had left London when she was just 15 years old to join the ISIS. She had lost 3 children in infancy and then was stripped of her British citizenship in 2019. Now 25 years old, she has repeatedly expressed regret, saying that she was actually groomed to join the ISIS and then go to Syria and deserves a second chance.
Now, as Syria under President Ahmed al-Shara gains global legitimacy, highlighted by his unprecedented visit to the White House and President Trump's public show of support, pressure is building on the UK to re-evaluate its position.
While Britain hesitates, other nations have begun limited repatriations from Syria's detention camps. Now, dozens of women and children have returned to Australia, many reportedly reintegrating successfully.
France repatriated 3 women and 10 children this year after Europe's rights court criticized its delays. Countries like Belgium, Germany and the Netherlands have recovered most of their citizens, while Denmark only repatriates children without their mothers. All right, it's time now for a short break on World DNA, but we will be back on the other side. The Election Commission of India will start counting of votes for the 243-member Bihar Assembly at 8 a.m. We will be covering all aspects of this high-stakes electorate on the other side of World DNA. Come right back.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Iran claims to possess a missile that can reach the United States and says it has broken a US-Israeli spy network. Partition fears return to Gaza as Trump's plan hits a wall. Defiant Hezbollah takes aim at Israel and the US. The group says it will not disarm under pressure.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, every Friday at these times, only on WION. World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA with Saleh. I'm Shivan. We are tracking the developments which are going to be coming in from Bihar as counting is going to start minutes from now. The postal ballot counting starts in Bihar at 8 a.m.
That is correct indeed, Shivan. This, of course, is the big moment. This is where we'll actually get the real results. The entertainment that we were having with the exit polls, that is now out of the window. The parties will now be looking at what happens in every single constituency. Because remember, there are many issues in Bihar. Bihar is one of those states, the largest states of India, that has the lowest per capita income. Bihar has not witnessed change. For some reason, Nitish Kumar, who many would call the consummate politician, no matter who his alliance partner is, he wants to be the chief minister. The question, of course, is he going to be chosen by the people of Bihar again?
He's been the chief minister for 20 years. He's eyeing a record 5th term, but the opposition has not been dampened by anything that the exit polls have suggested, which are suggesting a NDA sweep. The opposition is not buying it. Let's start with the headlines at this hour as we track all the developments coming in from Bihar.
So all eyes are on Bihar's counting for the assembly election results is to begin now. The Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is seeking a 5th term while the opposition is eyeing for a historic upset. The exit polls, however, had predicted that it is going to be an NDA show ahead.
Security forces demolished the house of Dr. Omar Nabi, driver of the I-20 car involved in the blast near Delhi's Red Fort. Operation took place overnight in the Pulwama district of South Kashmir.
Eight people apparently burned to their death and about 13 others are seriously injured after a speeding truck collides with multiple vehicles at the Navale Bridge area on the Pune-Bengaluru highway.
Russia unleashes massive combined attack on Kiev, sparking fires and scattering debris across many districts of the capital. At least 11 people injured as emergency crews respond to multiple strikes.
And China summons Japan's ambassador following remarks by Japan's Prime Minister Sane Takaichi, who suggested that Tokyo might send troops to defend Taiwan under collective self-defense in the event of an armed attack.
US Defense Secretary announces major military initiative in the Caribbean and South America, calling it Operation Southern Spear. Says the campaign is aimed at confronting narco-terrorists in Western Hemisphere.
And Israel receives one more body of the last of the 4 hostages who was in the custody of Hamas in the Gaza Strip from the Red Cross as part of a ceasefire deal with Hamas. The forensic experts confirmed that the body is indeed that of the Israeli hostage Meni Godard.
Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin launches its new Glenn rocket on its debut flight for paying customers, carrying 2 satellites on their way to Mars in the company's first NASA-scale science mission.
And the Wall Street has closed sharply lower, hit by steep losses in Nvidia, Tesla and other AI names. Investor nerves have risen as inflation concerns and mixed Fed signals have dampened the hope for more rate cuts. Standard & Poor's 500 has fallen by nearly 1.7%. The Nasdaq is down by 2.3%, while the Dow Jones has slid by nearly 800 points.
Carlos Alcaraz secures the year-end world #1 spot by beating Lorenzo Musetti at the ATP Finals 6-4, 6-1 in Turin. And is the race to power in Bihar, and counting of votes has begun. Postal ballots first.
That's indeed true, Shivan. This is the moment. The postal ballots are going to be counted. So you will get a sort of a skewed picture because postal ballots do not always indicate which way the trends are. By 8:30, the counting from the EV machines will, of course, begin. And we need to see as to which way the wind is blowing in Bihar. Because is this going to be a repeat again for Nitish Kumar, where he again comes back and sits in the chief minister's chair, even though he's been in power for the last 20 years?
20 years. It's going to be a fifth record term or an upset for the incumbent. Bihar is set to elect his chief ministers as voters determine if veteran leader Nitish Kumar of the JDU will clinch an unprecedented fifth term, or will he pave way for a new government? Now, the two-phase assembly elections for the 243-seat House conducted on the 6th and the 11th of November witnessed an impressive voter participation of 67.13%.
The voter turnout, which has been unprecedented, this of course has sparked a lot of speculation as to what actually prompted the people of Bihar to come out and vote in this very unprecedented manner. Now, some are suggesting, this is how they see it, that some are suggesting that they probably want change, and that is why so many people have come out and voted. That's one theory. Another is the migrant population.
Yes.
And that's being talked about a lot because it was the festive season.
Chhat Puja.
Chhat Puja, there was Deepavali, and many of the people who'd gone to Bihar to visit their homes have now stayed back to cast their ballots and to make it count.
Have they voted for change
and
or not?
What have the migrant voter been voting for? What do they want? Do they want another 5 more years of Nitish Kumar? These are some of the questions we will, of course, get an answer to. The exit polls, however, have predicted a dominant victory for the incumbent National Democratic Alliance, including the JDU and Rashtriya Janata Dal, the RJD's party under Tejasvi Yadav. It seems not to have had the same spark as it once did under Lalu Prasad Yadav. It now remains to be seen, can Tejasvi Yadav actually earn his purse and oust the long-time incumbent Nitish Kumar?
But he confidently predicts a landslide for the Mahagathbandhan, the Grand Alliance, a massive electorate of 7.45 crore cast ballots to shape the destiny of over 2,600 candidates, and featuring high-profile names as well, like Deputy Chief Minister Samrat Chaudhary and Vijay Kumar Sinha, JJD's Tej Pratap, and Congress State Chief Rajesh Kumar. Now, vote tallying has already started at 8 a.m. and this is across 46 counting stations in 38 districts, with early indications expected around 9 a.m.
And the very first figures that come out, Shivan, it's important to point out that these are just early trends and leads. They are not going to be results at least till about 10, 11 a.m. So in the next 3-4 hours, we'll have a clear picture as to which way the wind, of course, is blowing. Now, the NDA coalition fielded candidates from 5 parties, with the JDU and the BJP each contesting on 101 seats each, whereas the India Alliance unites the RJD, the Congress, the CPI-ML, Liberation and other left outfits, and also the VIP, the Vikashsheel Insan Party.
All right, we're now being joined live by Aditi Fadnis from New Delhi, who's a senior journalist and contributing editor, Business Standard. Ms. Fadnis, we were discussing what would happen. Now, of course, it's result day. Counting has already begun. Let's start with the most obvious question that I think it will all boil down to. Is it going to be a record 5th term for the incumbent?
Well, I don't want to speculate on whether it's going to be a record term for whom. but certainly the crucial question, the central question is how many votes, how many seats is Nitish Kumar's JDU going to win? Because for me, that is the central deciding factor which will determine the outcome of the election. Nitish Kumar is known as, you yourself said, a consummate politician who can switch sides, who is under no obligation to change coalition partners when he feels he is in a better position with one or the other. So for the last 5 years, his friends have been the BJP, but he can get new friends. There's no bar on that. So for me, the deciding factor is not how many seats or what the strike rate of parties is going to be, but what the strike rate of the JDU is going to be.
I think that of course, is going to be a crucial question, Ms. Fadnis. We'll, of course, get to know as to what the figures will be because these are still very initial moments. We are 11 minutes into counting since it has started. But do you expect, in some ways, the JDU to get more number of seats than the Bharatiya Janata Party this time round? Because Bihar is a bit of an outlier of a state, even in the Hindi belt. Not many people would get this. The fact is the Bharatiya Janata Party, despite the very dominant performance that it has put out in the last couple of decades, it still has never managed to have its own government in Bihar. It always needs the JDU as its partner. How do you see the power balance between the JDU and the BJP itself within the NDA alliance?
So far, the power balance has been equitable. JDU has usually got what it has wanted from the central government in the BJP. We know that one of the major demands of Bihar, and specifically articulated by the JDU, was special status for Bihar. The category of special status states has been abolished or has been eliminated altogether after the Finance Commission report. But that has never been a problem. So reach of funds has never been a problem for the government led by Nitish Kumar, and you see that in that reflected in the amount of infrastructure development that has happened in Bihar in the last 20 years, but more specifically in the last 5 years or so. Uh, Bihar is now the only state in India which has a bridge and road maintenance policy.
Right.
Because as you know, Bihar is an outlier. It is right at the end of the Ganga, and Ganga and its tributaries contribute a lot of alluvial soil, which makes Bihar very fertile, but also present a big problem in terms of navigation. You have to circumvent large areas to reach your point of destination, which might be on the other side of the Ganga, which needs bridges. And this government has built more bridges than any other in the past.
Ms. Fadnis, stay with us. We'll just quickly go to a reaction that is coming from Tejasvi Yadav of the RJD.
ठीक होने वाली है बाहर चलिए हम लोग जीत रहे हैं बहुत शुभकामनाएं आप लोगों को बदलाव होगा बदलाव होने जा रहा है चलिए सरकार बना रहे हैं चलिए
आज जो सूर्य का तेज है ना वह विकास का तेज है वह राजनीति में वंशवाद का नहीं रहेगा भ्रष्टाचार का नहीं रहेगा पारिवारिक विरासत का नहीं रहेगा राजनीति में बिहार की जनता एनडीए के नेता क्लाइमेट लीडर पर विश्वास करेगी माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी पर
All right, so that of course we heard a little while back from Tejasvi Yadav.
He's calling it Badlav.
He's calling it Badlav. He seems to be very, very confident that this time round the people of Bihar of course want change. But will it happen? Because remember, it is a very complicated election. It's not your normal election. The caste arithmetic, that is the crux of what happens here. There's also the question of Vikas, there's this question of government policies. But at the same time, Bihar is a very complicated state where every Bihari individual has an opinion, and a very strong opinion on politics, and it's very difficult to predict as to which way the wind, of course, is blowing.
Ms. Fadnis, if you're there with us, yes, Ms. Fadnis, the voter turnout, that's something Saleh and me have been discussing here in the studio as well, and the entire country has seen it, 67.13%. It's a leap ahead of what was seen the previous time in 2020. What could have been the possible reasons that led to this increased voter turnout?
I think it's pretty clear that women have fueled the large voter turnout. And policies of the previous government, policies of Nitish Kumar specifically, have been very pro-women ever since he came to power in 2000. He not only did a lot of work on women's education, which is actually showing now because Bihar shows, despite its other parameters being miserably low, it shows the highest level of recruitment in the police forces of women. So, I mean, that's a factoid. But the fact is that women's education has been a kind of a passion for Nitish Kumar from the time he came to power. Bihar's educational sector is pretty decrepit. There's no doubt about that. There are exam leaks. There is impersonation. There's a lot of problems, but still, facilitating the girl child's entry into the school by providing her bicycles in order to cycle to school was a big game changer. It's not just that; it's also that he imposed prohibition on Bihar at considerable revenue cost because excise is a big component in any state's GDP. And he also did a lot of work to make Bihar safer for women in terms of law and order. So all this, the combination of all this, has led to I mean, Bihar women coming out in large numbers. Also, I think the game changer was the 3,000 rupee well, people call it freebie. I don't look at it like that. Uh, Grant for women entrepreneurs. Their eyes are not just on this 3,000 on this 10,000 rupees which they are going to get. It's also on the 2009 2,90,000 rupees which has been promised to them if he comes to power.
And Ms. Fadnis, as I had mentioned, that voter turnout, there was 72 lakh extra votes that were cast this time. Now, regardless of what all would have fueled that, who do you feel that would have gone in favor of, and who would they have? Would it only be helping as the results are awaited hours from now?
Well, I don't know what extra votes are. These are presumably the votes of the
Compared to
new
last time,
voters
compared to
who have been added to the electoral list, and the special intensive review launched by the Election Commission has contributed to this. So, I mean, duplicate voters have been eliminated, new voters have been added, and the voters list has been pruned, and the net result is that more voters have been added. So,
Ms. Fernandez,
totally, it's hard to
to
say
put the
who they
question
would have
slightly
voted for.
differently, what Shivan would mean is that why are we witnessing such a high voter turnout? Why is it that in comparison to the previous elections,
2020,
in comparison with 2020, there have been substantially more number of people who in fact come out and cast their ballots? What has brought the people of Bihar to the voting stations to cast their ballots in this unprecedented manner? What do you think is driving this?
Well, I think the reason is partly women, because the percentage of women voters has increased considerably. And it's also the new voter who is very keen to cast his vote the first time.
I think there are about 14 odd lakh
When I
voters who are said to be the first time voters.
migration work is coming back.
And that of course is a crucial point, Jivan, because Ms. Fadnis, this time round, the vote of the migrants is said to play a big role.
Exactly.
Because it was the festive season, people had
Chhath
gone
Puja.
home for Chhath Puja, they'd stayed back and then they decided to make their ballot count. Which way do you think the migrant voters of Bihar, that is people who work in other states, who've gone back home this time during election season, would have cast their ballot?
Was it for caste or was it for change? These are questions coming up.
Well, migrant voters typically, I mean, I'm relying on anecdotal evidence here. Migrant voters typically would vote with the other factors in mind. They would vote looking at not just what they are seeing in their state, but also what they have seen in other states,
Right.
where they may be working and they may be operating. And based on that, that colors their experience. And based on that, they will have come back home hoping that either the same governance model will be continued or that there should be change. At this point, it's very hard to say which way the migrant voter will vote.
Right.
That's in the realm of speculation.
Ms.
But
Fadnis,
overall,
some people have suggested that even though the migrant population of Bihar, when they go to the other states, they see what they're witnessing. You know, when they are in other states, they're all looked upon as people from Bihar. But the minute they go back home, they're not just people from Bihar, then they go back into their respective castes, where people become Thakur, Brahmin, people of other castes, Muslim. Do you think, once the migrant labor goes back home, they're looking at issues of development, or does the question of caste start weighing in on their minds?
well, all of India, caste is a living reality. So you cannot eliminate caste from your identity. You cannot remove it. But that said, there are many people from the same caste in a constituency. Who does the migrant voter specifically vote for? Uh, Even assuming that he votes, I'll give you an example. That in Darbhanga, where I went, the Jan Swaraj party has fielded an upper caste candidate. So has the JDU BJP. So now, of them, who is the migrant voter going to choose from? Is he going to choose a party that has only newly been launched, or is he going to choose a party that he has seen operating elsewhere in
Right.
India, while the caste is the same? So there are many ifs and buts in this, and I would not like to speculate on this.
All right.
But overall, it does seem as if the migrant voters' uh, preferences
Right.
are colored by his experience outside the state.
Ms. Fadnis, another aspect that needs to be spoken is every time that an incumbent seeks a re-election, he speaks of his track record. Nitish Kumar has been the chief minister for the last 20 years. He's now 74 years old, and questions have been brought up about his mental acuity. Is he really there 100% all of the time? Because there have been videos of him, where it appears that he's clearly not aware of where he is. Do you think that has played a role on the minds of the people of Bihar in choosing who they want as their next chief minister?
Saleh, just allow me to come in there, and Ms. Fadnis, we'll come to you for the response that Saleh asked. I'll just quickly like to go to the trends that are coming in. It's been about 20 minutes since the counting started. 77 out of 243 constituencies, that's where the trends are coming in from. 47 for the BJP, RJD plus at, of course, that's the Grand Alliance I'm talking about, that's at 26 now. And the JSP, Jan Swaraj, having a count here at 3. Others at 2. Those are the kind of trends we're picking up. Just to repeat to our viewers, these are initial trends. It's just been 20 minutes. This is where it seems to be going as far as the constituencies that they are coming in from. 78 constituencies where they're coming in from, out of which 47 for the BJP plus, that's the NDA, and for the Mahagathbandhan 26, JSP, Jan Swaraj at 3. So as of now, at least the trends seem to be very much in tandem with what the exit polls had suggested. But once again, repeating it for our viewers, that these are initial trends. These are not the results. So we will need to wait and watch. Ms. Fadnis, back to you for what Saleh had questioned.
So the question, I think, was about incumbency.
Incumbency and also the mental acuity of Nitish Kumar. He's 74 years old. At times there have been these videos that have done the round, something that the opposition has also extensively spoken about, that Nitish Kumar is probably getting old and age is catching up with him. Do you think that would have played a role in the way the people in Bihar would have voted for him?
I think this is a vote of a thank you vote for Nitish Kumar. This election, more than any others in the past. People have seen the work that the government has done, both with the RJD as partner and with the BJP as partner. And their contribution, their gratitude is with Nitish Kumar. Yes, there are problems about his health, and periodically his detractors keep putting out stories about how he's not all there. I did not see any evidence of that either in his speeches or in the way he conducted himself. I think he was very sharp, and I don't want to go into a long story about this, but he contradicted his rivals fairly effectively whenever he was required to. There is evidence for that. So yes, his health, I mean, at 74, you're no longer as agile mentally or physically as you are at 47. But overall, there is a lot to be said about what he has done for Bihar.
Right.
And I think his reputation as a floor crosser when it comes to changing partners, even after fighting elections with them, I think that is a story that has been overturned.
I
His
think,
reputation as Palturam,
yeah.
person who is a kind of a
Shiva, that's
person
an
who
interesting
crosses
aspect
sides.
of Indian politics where Nitish Kumar, despite the fact that he's tried to project himself as Sushasan Kumar, someone who has brought good governance to the state of Bihar, the fact is that he's okay to choose any alliance partner that he can so that he continues to remain in the chief minister's chair.
And that moniker remains with
Yeah,
him.
that does.
Which Fadnis just put it out there, but that moniker remains. But, just to take it a little further from what Saleh mentioned, Ms. Fadnis, usually, and we've seen this thrice at least in Bihar in the past, that a higher voter turnout, which is anywhere more than 5% from the previous time, from the previous election, it usually spells a change. It's not really gone in the favor of the incumbent. It happened in 1967, it happened in 1980 and also in 1990 when the voter turnout was more than 5% and there was a change of government. Do you find that kind of a trend possibly repeating itself in 2025?
I would not derive such conclusions because for the data that you have given, the instances that you have given, the opposite is also true.
Yes.
So we cannot derive such conclusions. I don't think voter turnout means plus for one or the other side. It merely means that people have an opinion and they're out there, out on the streets to register it, whatever their opinion may be.
Interesting. This is the election counting that has just gotten started. And let's get our viewers up to speed with the latest trends that have come in, where these are, remember, still projections and trends and early leads. It's only the postal ballots that have been counted so far at 8:27. At this moment, this is what the figures indicate, that NDA is ahead at 38. The Mahagathbandhan is ahead at 24, while others have got 4 seats in their kitty in the leads and trends. These are very, very early numbers, and things can dramatically change in the course of the next few minutes.
I think in another 2 to 3 minutes, the EVM counting will start as well, and then perhaps these trends will have a little more weight behind what it is. But again, as I mentioned, these are trends. Out of the 100 constituencies, out of 243, the trends that are coming in that we're reading out for you, 63 for the NDA, 32 for the Mahagathbandhan, the Grand Alliance, 3 for the Jan Suraj Party. Let me very quickly, Ms. Fadnis, before we slip into a break, the Jan Suraj Party, they were mostly being seen as disruptors. How much of that do you feel is going to happen as the results are, as we approach the final result?
Jan Suraj has designed itself as a disruptor, and that is where its attractiveness and its newness lies. As to whether it's going to make a substantial impact on the ground, I have my doubts. People agree generally with what Jan Suraj is saying, but would have felt that it might be a waste of their vote to vote for it because it has very little chance of actually forming a government there. So while Jan Suraj is important, I don't think it's going to have a very big impact, except in those seats which have posted very, very narrow victories.
I think that is what Prashant Kishore himself, all through campaigning has said, ya to arsh par, ya phir farsh par. So it remains to be seen as to what is going to be the tally that the Jan Suraj Party of Prashant Kishore ends up with. We'll slip into a short break. Do continue to stay with us. We'll get you all the updates that are unfolding at this moment in this big election count in Bihar. We'll see you on the other side.
Just a quick takeaway, 50% is what the initial trends are suggesting, where the NDA is ahead of the Grand Alliance by 50%. There's jubilation in the NDA camp, but of course these are earlier trends. Let's wait and watch what happens.
Never celebrate early. That is the
they're still calling it Badlav. That's what Tejasvi Yadav is saying. We'll slip into a very quick break. Come right back.
From timeless legends to modern day actors, we take a look at Indian actors with the maximum number of hits to their credit.
अच्छा मतलब वो लोग पहचानते नहीं मुझे. Now we are re-releasing the film with the original end.
Meet Indian lyricist screenwriter Javed Akhtar and know all about the evolution of storytelling in animation. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others,